So I got a question for y'all brothers. Uh, should we take more of uh, a proactive approach in government?
That's tough for me.
It's all good. Just
Out, you know me. Yes and no.
okay.
Um,
So just tell me both.
for those who feel like that they make a difference and that they can make a change or they can have an effect in government, absolutely. If that's what you believe, like this system is tried and whatever, however you quantify how your effect would be in the government, voting. My vote counts and my vote matters. And, you know, if the person that I want gets elected, I was a part of that. If the person that didn't, that I didn't want got elected, then at least I tried.
Okay. And I'd even say this, right? I'll scale it down a notch. So, like, for an example, right? You know how, let's take ordinances, right? Which these, like, a lot of times these are regulated to the community.
Right.
Okay. So, one example is like speed restrictions in residential areas.
Right.
You know, the residents of those areas, they go to the
council meetings.
right, and they actually vote on what it should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I take that as a principle, right? You know, you can, if you want something to be a certain type of way because it's beneficial for the community,
Right.
right? Obviously, there's a process for that. Follow the process or get involved with the process and use the influence that you have to make the changes necessary in the community.
Going back to your question, I think that are for those people who see a need for a change or something. But for someone, let's say, I was going to say like me, that I don't have a problem slowing down when the speed limit says 15 miles an hour or 25 miles an hour or whatever, especially in the community. I have that sense to slow down because I have, you know, we all here have children or have had young children at one point in time. So it's only meaningful for those who see a need for a change.
And what I'll say to that is that as a whole, okay, people of color are asking for things to change.
Right.
They're asking for things to change within education. They're asking for things to change within housing. They're asking for things to change, let's say maybe even in the structure and output of rules and regulation.
Right.
They're asking for it. You know, and a lot of times, you know, I've seen that we voice those requests in a way that, you know, it keeps us going in circles over and over and over.
It's a paradox to that thought.
Okay.
From being, you know, joined the military in 1996, getting out in 2016, I've met a lot of different types of people and I've gone through a different range of mental development myself.
Right.
And dealing with people and being one of those people at times that ask for change, but at the same time not willing to do what it needs to do, doing what needs to be done to be an effect in change. So looking at myself from my youth to my moving towards the elder stage in life, it's like, man, a lot of people say a lot of things, but their actions say different because of a group mentality. And it's not wrong to want for a collective, but to make any effort starts with self.
Okay.
You know, each part of a group is very important to the wholeness of the group.
Agreed.
So if I want change, I need to start with myself and my family. And some people will say, well, that's selfish. No, it's kind of common sense. I need to start with change with myself. And as I change mentally, physically, and spiritually, now I have an opportunity to be that change that I want to see.
Right.
Because it starts with me.
Agreed.
But if I project that outward and say, well, we need to change. Somebody need to do something about this. Or the reason why I'm in this situation is because somebody out there, they're X, Y, and Z. They have the power. I have no power.
And that right there is what I want to tackle.
Let's go.
Because that seems to be the roadblock that has the most likes in the community.
No. Right.
Right. Facts.
That person over there, they got all the power. I can't do nothing.
As a man thinketh, so shall he be.
Right.
Right.
Which is an illusion.
It's an
You can
illusion.
You can do whatever you want.
but-
Trust me.
Along with that illusion is people that benefit from you believing in that illusion. And I'm gonna be the negative party in this. If I could get you to believe that I have power over you, why would I stop you from believing that?
Right.
If it's keeping me in a good position, why would I stop you? Shoot, I will encourage you to keep believing that.
Yeah.
exactly. You're not gonna stop that.
I would empower you to keep believing in that.
So back to that priming effect, right? That's gonna bleed down to the next generation of people.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And as this generation of people, as they come into the earth, right, their decision making is it's all the way over there somewhere.
And it still goes with the group mentality. It's like, in order to be African American or black, we all should, versus, well, I need to establish an education. I need financial education. I need to learn how money works. Instead of seeing that way, it's more of, we get together and say, well, look at him. He's over there trying to get into X, Y, and Z school.
Right.
Or why is he trying so hard to be like X, Y, and Z? It could baffle.
What?
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Historically,
All right.
when did people ever think like that?
About getting an education?
No. Like, well, why is he trying to learn something? Or why?
Because you trapped in a situation.
Yeah. Cat might be like, so since you can read, you must be one of them.
Can I say this? Let's use this word for the USA, the United States of America, right? Let's look at it as a project, a social project.
Okay.
Right? Where when it came to be, the construct was, it was people already here, right? Which had their own version of their governments. We call them the nations of the Native Americans and so on and so forth. Then you had a government system that, just reclaimed their independence for, 1492, right? The Europeans started reclaiming their independence from the Moorish empires. They started,
Right.
If
you go back that far. Yeah.
It was even before that. They started,
Yeah.
but eventually it culminated in 1492. Columbus started sailing and so on and so forth. So you have these edicts and bulls going out, converting people to Christianity.
Right.
And you have groups of people, which we're not going to mention here right now, that were captured, dispersed to different places, and enslaved. And then you find these new lands in America. You come over and you start what we call colonization process. Of course, the colonization process started in other parts of the earth, but we're talking about America. So as time goes on, the Americas started establishing government. And a lot of us, we look at it like, okay, these are European races of people or European groups of people. I just use the term European families of people, which are usually, for the most part, we say Caucasian. But we still leave out that there were people of color that came over along with the Europeans to establish these here eventually colonies. So as these governments starts getting established, it starts culminating from, if you want to say, a Christian thing, and it became, it was already, but it became more. I say the science project became more racially driven. And one part of government is understand that a lot of these things did not include people that look like you and I. A lot of the structure, as the infrastructure was being set up, which was really, was it forced servitude?
Right.
You had another group of people that was benefiting from it. So here we have the oppressor and the oppressed. And what we call rebellions would be liberators or freedom fighters.
Right.
Right? So it's the principles. But as government is setting up, it initially was started for these founding fathers or these founding groups of people. You were never, or people like you and I were never written into that. So fast forward to 2023, we're talking about equality and different things of that nature. You were never equal based on the government structure. And this didn't just start in America.
Right.
This started in every kingdom. Every kingdom had, you have aliens.
Yes.
Illegal aliens. You had aliens. You had visas, people that came here just to work.
Right.
And then you had what we considered indentured servitude or forced servitude, which is what we call slavery today.
Correct.
So when you look at what the so-called, and it's not all, people are dealing with now, and the concepts of, well, we don't have the power, it's things that's been legislation and things that have changed throughout the last 400 years.
Yes.
That allows you to change, if you want to say your status, because what I was talking about is it's a status thing.
Yes.
You know, in a lot of countries they still have, you serve in the army for a certain amount of time, and you have citizen status. You have the full benefits of being a citizen because you serve for 4 years or 3 years or whatever. So when you start looking at us as a people, we don't understand what our status is. If that makes any sense.
No, I got you.
We don't understand the terms of status. And I think that's a detriment now because of the belief that, oh, look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Look at Rosewood. Look at all the countless places that we tried to establish something, and those that don't look like us destroyed it. So I throw my hands up and says, well, I'm not trying because we'll never be able to do anything in this land. And I think that's a fallacy. I think that a lot of people that's in that place, that frame of mind.
Well, what land can you do it in?
That's a good question, because every land you go to, there's citizenship.
Right.
You have to be a citizen to get any stakes or claim to certain land.
And that's the polarization in the earth.